And good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to Edge of Reality TV. I'm Willie Hassel, and she, of course, is the lovely, the mystical, and
You forgot the rest of it.
mysterious for
Mysterious? Oh, yeah. Okay.
sure. Lynn Nickerson.
Yeah.
How
Good
are
evening,
you?
Willie. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, how could I not be good?
Yeah, you're always terrific.
Well, I didn't mean it that way, but
Didn't you?
no, I mean, hey, I'm here with you. We got two excellent guests.
We
tonight.
certainly do.
How can I not be good?
Yeah, I'm very anxious to
Very anxious?
speak with them.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll introduce them then.
All right,
And
good.
then you can speak with them. All right. How's that
Clue the
sound?
audience in as to what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tonight on the show, we are pleased to welcome Danny and Lauren Perez. Lauren's interest in the supernatural go back to her early days of watching Ghostbusters as a child and progressed to as paranormal shows started to develop on TV. She has been working in the paranormal field since 2012 and founded her own team in 2015. Danny has been dabbling in the paranormal field since the late 80s, but became serious in the 90s after meeting up with Ed and Lorraine Warren. Though he has experienced some things that he can't explain, he is not a true believer in the supernatural. Together, they are the Radikals, while primarily working in the paranormal field on residential cases. They also work with various exorcists, demonologists, and other paranormal teams to remove problematic objects that contain them for safekeeping in their Museum of Wonders and Oddities. Please welcome tonight Danny and Lauren Perez.
Welcome,
guys.
Danny and Lauren.
Hi,
Good to
how's
see
it going?
you.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
So you're
for having us.
multifaceted people, aren't you?
They're into a little bit of everything. I think.
Yeah, I wanted to cover their Museum of Wonders and your investigations and your Ouija board business in particular. So where should we start?
Well, let's not forget peanut butter.
Oh, yeah, and peanut butter too. We want to know about that. How about the Museum of Wonders then? Willie, why don't you start off with the car that you were talking about?
Yeah, one of the objects I really found fascinating, and the story that goes behind it, and the story of how you actually physically picked it up, the killer car.
The killer cop car?
Yes. Yes, the Golden Eagle was the killer car. A 1964 Dodge 330. It was a police car from Old Orchard Beach, Maine. Strange things had happened
Yeah.
since the beginning, right on the assembly line, kind of like Christine. Actually, some say that it inspired Stephen King to write Christine. Can't say for sure, but this car was very problematic. People would fall out of the doors as they were turning corners, and it got to the point where they had to take it out of commission and just put it over on the side. And it became one of those things where kids would dare each other, go touch it, go touch it. And when they did, bad things would happen. Like what, Lauren?
Well,
The last one.
the last one, it was a kid who was dared to touch it, and he did. And he ended up going home and stabbing his entire family and the dog.
What
Yeah,
happened?
we had thought that he had went home and shot his family and the dog, and we had met up with someone who went to school with him and gave us the police records and all this photography from the scenes and everything. And he had actually went home and stabbed the family and the dog and then burned the house down. And supposedly it's all related to the curse of touching the car.
And
And,
I believe
that?
you said there was a total of 14 known deaths. Related to
14 known and as high as 24, I believe, that's completely unknown. A religious group came in and said that the car was possessed by demons, and they stole the car in the middle of the night and dismantled it and separated to various junkyards throughout Maine, and so it could never be put back together again. And we got a phone call from a guy who ran a junkyard and had front piece where the
there it
headlight
is.
goes. And he put it in his office, hung it over the door. It was a joke. You know, it
Oh,
was,
So that's not a rim, that's part of the grill in the front, right?
yes, the grill in the
Yes.
front where the headlight goes.
Yep.
And to him, it was a joke. It was something that, you know, the banter about as people came in. And he contacted me because he was not having a good time with it. He said he was dying of cancer. Weird things were happening. His family was breaking up. What else, Lauren?
His junkyard was
He was
actually
losing
losing
it.
the business
Losing the family
An
business.
and
accident?
everything.
Yeah. So he contacted me and said, hey, because I put out these ads with people, you know, they need help, whatnot. Contacted me. He says it has to be totally anonymous. Meet me on Route 95 at the very last New Hampshire exit, right before Maine. There's a little rest area there. 2 o'clock in the morning. Has to be 2 o'clock in the morning, and you have to be alone. And bring a crucifix and a box to put it in.
I want to just put in there. This is before we met. So I had, if I had known about this, he would not have done this.
Well,
Oh my God.
you know, it's to help somebody out, and it's, you know, it is what it is. So I was like, okay, people were like, don't go. You're not going to make it back. So I drove up there, figured I'm okay. I've got a machete and a bag of Doritos. Everything's going to be cool. So I get up there, I park, and where you park, when you pull into the rest area, you pull right in and your car faces the building. So I'm sitting there facing the building. I'm like, all right. It's like now 2:15. And then all of a sudden a flatbed wrecker truck pulls up behind me, you know, straight behind me. So I can't back out. I'm blocked now. So I'm thinking, this is when I realized that, you know, this might not have been a good idea.
Duh.
This is how I die probably. So I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and on the front door, you can just see the name of the junkyard or towing business or whatever.
Mhm.
And it was covered with duct tape and cardboard, so there was no way I could track him down or whatnot. So this elder gentleman gets out of the truck, get dusty overalls on, and I meet him there, and he's like, you Dan? I'm like, yep. He's like, you know what this is, right? I'm like, correct. He's like, this is yours. Everything that comes with it goes with it. It is yours. You cannot give it back. Did you bring a box? Did you bring a crucifix? I said, yep. So he didn't even have it in the car, in the truck with him.
No.
It was actually on the flatbed on the back, tied down. And he handed it to me. I put it in the box with the crucifix, and I was staring at it. And the next thing I know, he was already back on the highway. He was taking off. And I was like, oh, all right.
He didn't even
Interesting.
say goodbye?
He didn't say goodbye. I didn't even realize that he was moving until I heard him upshifting onto the on-ramp. And I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah, I made it. I got back fine. And we now have this piece. I did take out what did I take out, Lauren?
$1 million.
Cancer policy,
Yeah.
just in case.
Now I'm just waiting.
So Lauren, are you getting any vibes off of that right now?
Surprisingly, no. I have done psychometry with other objects and had some violent reactions, but this I
Just seems
can
neutral.
hold it with no problem.
Well, then-
It does make a nice frame when you hold it up in front of you.
Lovely picture frame.
And it does.
So let me ask both of you, has anything adverse happened to you since you've had it in your possession?
No,
No.
absolutely
Really?
nothing.
And where do you
No.
store it?
Most of the museum is in our parlor where we're sitting right now. There's
Really?
hundreds of items strung around. There's stuff in the attic that Lauren's never even seen. We've run out of room. So now this spring, we're going to try moving everything out to the 3-car garage that's detached from the house, and we're going to turn that into a museum.
To go a little bit further on that, have any of the objects that you have had an adverse effect on either of you?
What do you think, Lauren?
A few items have caused issues with me. One of the pieces, like I said, with psychometry, I've held it 3 times and it's made me very nauseous. Almost had me pass out the last time. That would be Jeffrey Dahmer's fork. When we first started dating, there was a doll. It was like a little Barbie doll kind of a thing. It kept falling off the top of the shelf, and I kind of looked at Danny and said, can you just put that in the case for me? And hasn't had any problems since.
No, it's contained now.
Yeah. One of our pieces, actually, surprisingly, Danny heard it, but I've heard a little girl running and talking.
Oh.
So.
Well, before we leave the car, I just had a couple more questions. You know, people falling out the doors, did they ever double check the locks on the police car doors?
I would hope so. I mean, you never know. I mean, it was back in the 60s, you know, seatbelts were kind of an option then. And, you know, I have no idea. I hope they would have.
Well, was there any kind of violent action other than the ending one with these people dying? Were there like shootouts or something like that? Any record of that?
Not in the police. They just had these very little minuscule things that were problematic and which attracted other people to, I mean, supposedly a couple of the people that stole the car, the religious group, they got in accidents, were decapitated.
Oh,
and
wow.
It just kept, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just, the kill was just, it just
And the guy
crazy.
who owned this part of the grill, what did you say happened to him again?
He said his words were he had contracted cancer. He was losing his business. His family was falling apart. Everything that he loved and cherished was just going awry.
Yeah.
And he put faith into that piece that's where it came from because he thought it was a joke. Whether it was or not, you know, we really can't say.
It could be
especially
psychosomatic, but you just don't know for sure.
Exactly.
Right.
So, you know, but out of the safety for him, yeah, sure, we'll take it in. Not a problem.
Wow.
You got haunted objects? We'll take them.
So,
That's what
do
we do.
people usually sell them to you, or they just want to get them off their hands?
They always, I would say like 99.9%, they're just like, here, take this,
Here,
please.
take it.
Yeah. And what we do is we never actually confirm like ownership. We don't take on ownership of these items. They still belong to the people who gave them to us. At any point in time, they can come back and get them, but in like 15 years, no one's ever come back.
That's interesting. Cody and Satori say the same thing.
Yeah.
The other people still retain ownership of the objects.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking over your site, Museum of Wonders, and there were a couple of things that really struck me as interesting. There was a painting by an artist, and apparently he died, so he never got the chance to finish this particular piece of artwork. And your dog has an aversion to it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mephistopheles.
Okay.
This was a painting.
Let me grab it.
Yeah, you want to grab it real quick?
Oh, wonderful.
This is a painting that the artist, as he was doing it, I don't know why, we don't have any idea, but he decided for whatever reason it just wasn't doing what he wanted. So he slit his wrists and started painting with his own blood. The only problem is, as he was doing it, he bled out and he died as he was painting. I don't know if it's going to show.
And
Yeah,
that
it's
is,
a
of
little
course,
difficult.
another name for Satan, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Would you want to repeat that again? Because I don't remember.
Yeah. Mephistopheles. It's,
That's
demonic. Another word for devil.
You can see the.
It's hard to see in the light, but
Yeah, there's a lot of glare on it.
yeah. But that is it. He never finished it. You can see the blood smears. It really freaks a lot of people out. That's about as good as it's
that's
going
a
to
good
get.
shot. Have you had any adverse, other than your dog? Any adverse reactions?
No effects here. I mean, our dog, when I brought it in the house, it was 3 days. She was acting like she was sick, wouldn't eat, nothing.
Mhm.
And no idea what it was, but thinking, you know what? That's the only change, after her not really being sick. So I was like, all right, let's put that out of the house. Took it out of the house. I would say within 4 or 5 hours, she was acting normal again.
Yeah.
So I was like, really strange. So, they say animals can sense things or whatnot. So I was like, okay, you know what? We're gonna do a little test. Let's wait like a month. We'll wait like a month, and while she's in the parlor, on the other side of the house, this house is almost shaped like a U the way it's laid out. There's my little production studio. I said, she can't see me entering the house from the parlor. So if I take it and enter through the kitchen into the back production studio, she will not know visually that it's in the house.
Mhm.
So I did this, and the same thing happened again.
Oh.
So it stayed out in the garage
Until probably November.
until October, when
yeah.
the dog passed away in October at almost 15 years old.
Yeah.
So yeah, now it's in the house, and but yeah, she did not like that for some reason. We don't know why.
What do you have for an animal? What is your dog?
We had a pug named Bella Lugosi.
Okay. So you guys taking all this stuff into your own home, do you do any kind of protection rituals?
I do absolutely nothing. Never have. The only thing that I do is
You do.
she does. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I do is everything in this house that's brought into the home is treated with utmost respect.
Mhm.
And that's basically how I do it. But Lauren, what do you do?
I sage. I sage it.
You
pretty much
sage.
at least
And what
every other
about you
weekend.
personally? Do you often wear a
I'm sorry?
crucifix? Do you often wear a crucifix? You
Oh,
personally?
I'm not wearing one now. I've actually got my little bover on, but no, I don't wear a crucifix or anything like that. But I do sage and use Palo Santo and change it up.
Okay, how about purification for the objects? Are you involved with that at all? Like to increase
No.
your chances of harmony?
No, not at all. It's just basically a containment, and whatever's, if attached, now has a home and is being cared for. And so far, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're basically like me, Danny, a very skeptical
Yeah.
believer. I want to see.
Yeah,
I want to see the proof.
Yeah, I think anything is possible, just not probable.
Right.
You know, if you say you had an experience and you saw something, I totally wholeheartedly believe you. I just wish I was there with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Lauren and I know better, though.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Well, I
do.
don't
She
know.
freaks me out. Lauren
Who
freaks
does
me
know
out
better?
sometimes.
How about the other object that you have? It's an African item. It's about 3 feet tall, and you call it a Nikisi?
It's Nkisi. Yes, Nkisi Nkandi. It's from the African Congo. It's supposedly dated, I believe, the 1920s. Nkisi means vessel, and Nkandi means spiritual hunter. So this piece it's a piece that's made for magical revenge.
Oh.
It's pretty gruesome. I mean, it's the person we got it from said it's responsible. Yeah, she doesn't like it.
I don't
A lot
like
of
it.
people don't like it. But the person we got it from said it was responsible for 2 deaths.
Really?
I can grab it real quick here. It's right
If
on
you
the side of me.
would, sure. And where did you acquire this? Jeez, I thought
Well, my brother and I, let's see if that's focus. Yeah. My brother and I, we do clean outs and things like that with antiques. And we were going to get some Ouija boards. And he's like, I have this piece. I don't know if you really want to take it. And showed it to me. And I was like, oh, geez, what do you want to do with it? He's like, it's got to go. Please take it. You can see there's we might not be able to see it. There are nails pounded into it. There are shards of metal. There's rope tied around it. And
it's bizarre.
It is quite bizarre. Right here in the belly is where there used to be a mirror. I removed the mirror because the mirror is supposedly what activates this idol. And well, when we were removing it, I had Ouija boards in my hand, and my brother, he's a worse skeptic than me. Well, maybe not so now, but
No.
he was carrying it. It's in a wooden crate, and inside the crate is the basket that it rests in, a nesting basket. And he was carrying it, and it was resting on his stomach as he's walking with it, and he felt like something on his belly where it was. He's just like, "Hey, what is this again? Because this better not be a fertility doll, because my wife and I, we're done. We're not having any kids." And I told him, I said, "Listen, just put it down. Just put it down. Let me take it. Please let me, He's like, no, I got it." And well, that little burning where it was just kept happening and happening, and he ended up going to the doctor. And turns out he had pancreatic cancer in that exact spot.
But it was a rare form of pancreatic cancer that is found only in adolescent women.
That only what?
It's only.
Yeah, let me get it out of the way. It's making her a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's a form of pancreatic cancer that is found in adolescent women.
But like only in like 0.0003 whatever percent of
In women,
adolescent.
adolescent women, and your brother had it?
Yes, and that's why I told him. I said, "See, I told you were a little girl."
Okay, so how's your
No.
brother doing now?
Actually, he's doing fantastic. He didn't have to have chemotherapy. He did have an operation. What they did is it affected the backside of his pancreas. They removed the backside of the pancreas. His spleen was touching that area, so they got rid of that as well. He's doing fantastic.
Yeah.
Dana
And-
Farber stepped in and made him sign a bunch of paperwork because it is extremely, extremely rare for a male, never mind an adult male, to contract this type of cancer. I don't remember the exact name of it, but I think he's going on 6 years now.
Well, that's
No.
good for
No.
pancreatic
Maybe
cancer.
four
4
or 5.
4 or 5 then.
Because we were-
He's cleared. And
Yeah.
he actually, at first, it was a bad thing. It was, oh God, the Nkisi. And now he looks at it as, you know what? I would have never gone to the doctors if I wouldn't have felt that burn. So he loves the Nkisi now. He's just like, that's my buddy.
That's when it surfaced. But didn't he warn you about what had happened? Like two deaths were associated with it. Didn't he mention that to you?
Yes, he mentioned that 2 deaths, but Nkisi it's mostly a revenge thing. Someone
Okay.
if it does your tribe wrong, or something with your family or your farm or whatever, you put your intention into the Nkisi.
Right.
And so why did your brother have it?
He was carrying it. He was carrying it out of the house that we were picking it up from. And I told him, I said,
Oh, I
give
see.
it
I
to me.
thought you got it from your brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can tell you don't like it, Lowen. Will you touch it?
I'm not a fan of that. No.
Most people
Will you even
don't
touch it?
like it.
I mean, it looks evil.
Yeah, that's what we get a lot. A lot of people just really creeped out by it, and they can just feel
Yeah.
the energy off of
Yeah.
it. And yeah.
I just, yeah.
Yeah.
So what we do is we have a display where it's nice and high above everything else. So it's a respect thing where it's looking down upon everybody, and so far so good.
Okay. I think I'd put it under glass or something, or I don't know, bless it. Would blessing it do any good?
I have no idea.
Oh. Okay, well, did you have something else in mind that you wanted to bring up?
Several things, actually. I don't know,
Okay.
do you want to continue with another object?
Yeah, we can move on from this one. We'll leave that in our
Well,
dust.
Yeah, well, actually, you were just recently on a TV show called Repossessed, and you had
Yes,
a
we
rather
were.
interesting object from there.
And what was that?
Oh, I'm going to go get
Sure, if you don't
Donald.
mind.
I'll
Yeah.
go get Donald.
This next piece comes from Danvers State Hospital, the asylum.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they had these grave markers. They were like cement vertical posts, and they had a number on them. Basically,
Numbers, yeah.
no names, just numbers. And Yeah, this is
The
part of it right
stone.
there. It would actually go this way. Yep.
Uh-huh. What is
And,
the red
the
spot? Is
placard-
that paint or blood?
Actually, it's wax.
That's a wax seal from the show Repossessed that
that Lee did for us.
during the show. What happened was this piece, they were filming a movie there back in the early 2000s, I believe it was.
Was that
I know you-
session 7?
Hmm?
Was it session 9?
I'm sorry?
Or?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I
Oh.
know you can't say it, but session
Exactly. I was going to say, I
Oh,
can't
okay.
legally say the name of it. It was
I
an
did see
agreement
that.
I
That was a
had.
creepy movie.
It
Good
was a good
movie,
movie.
creepy.
Yes,
Creepy
yes,
movie.
creepy movie. It was.
It
actually a
even
creepy
scared
movie.
my cat.
Ah, wow.
Ooh.
But
Okay, so go ahead.
while they were filming the movie, a lot of these headstones, these markers were crumbling, and they were replacing them out with newer ones. And they had asked, is it possible to take something home as a memento of what we're doing? So it was agreed upon, and took it back home, and brought it back to Canada, and kind of just put it in storage, kind of forgot about it. And then one day when they were getting rid of everything in the storage, getting rid of the storage even, brought it back to the house, and he kind of used it as a paperweight on his desk and stuff. And again, strange things started happening. Like what?
Was having issues at home. His family was falling apart.
Animals getting sick.
Animals getting sick. Yeah.
All these kinds of strange things that just didn't normally happen. Hearing things that, it's just strange. So he was talking with one of his friends, and his friend's like, you need to bring in like medium or psychic or something or whatnot. I know of somebody. So they called in a psychic and went through the house, and had no ideas as the psychic was going through the house, stopped in the office and said, I don't know what that is, and pointed at the desk because it didn't have a placard on it or anything. I don't know what that is, but it's angry. That thing is mad. You got to get rid of that. So he's like, what do I just dump it? Do I dig a hole? Do I put it in it? She's like, no. I met these people from Salem, Massachusetts, and they do this kind of thing. Here's their information. Get a hold of them, and they'll help you out with it. So sent it our way. It got stuck in customs for about 3 weeks because of what it is. Sending a gravestone across,
the border.
country lines. Yeah. But, so, and I guess since then, everything's been okay.
Yeah.
And on the show Repossessed, it was, who is it?
So Lee found out that it is an adolescent boy whose name is Donald. He suffered from epilepsy, and he had a lobotomy.
Oh.
Now, and that ties in with a lot of people who are around this tend to feel like a headache.
Mm-hmm.
And Lee's like, yeah, exactly, because that's the lobotomy.
Yeah. And she put a ribbon, a string around it, and used sealing wax to make him feel more comfortable, I would think.
Why did she say he was angry? Do you remember that?
Because he was unappreciated. He was unloved.
He was a number.
He was a number. So if you watch the episode, unfortunately, the only person you see crying is me.
I was actually crying like a little girl with a skin me myself. It was very emotional. Yeah.
So we have our new adopted little son.
So
Donald.
you don't plan to get rid of it, right?
Never.
No.
So
This is his own.
essentially, it's not something that's evil, but it was haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supposedly, yeah. It was causing some problems, and now it's got a home.
He feels at home. Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
We got about 1 minute, a little less than a minute to the bottom of the hour. And when we come back, I would like to talk a little bit about your mode of transportation, how you got into it. It's an interesting story.
Okay, yeah. I'd like to hear another interesting story for sure. Well, maybe real quickly, then we can squeeze in one more question. There was this odd, I think it was called a deep sea devilfish, and it looked kind of like an elephant embryo. Was that ever determined what it was exactly?
That is Jenny Hanover. I believe that's what you're talking about. That's actually from like a sideshow.
Oh, it wasn't even real?
Oh.
The
okay.
devilfish.
Oh, okay. Now I
Yeah,
know which
I
one
believe
you're
that's what
talking-
she's talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
It is ugly.
It's very interesting.
It's
Yeah. I
strange.
started out with the whole sideshow thing, and then things just developed over the years.
Okay, so it wasn't real, or was it just something from the
They
sea?
actually, back in the early days, they would display these things as being creatures from the deep, the devilfish, and it was actually just I believe it was a skate that they just carved up to look like an alien, a little devil.
Oh, okay. All right, mystery solved.
Okay,
Yep.
on that note, it is the bottom of the hour. So we're going to have to take a short break, and we will be back in just a couple minutes.
Don't go anywhere.
No, don't anybody go anywhere. Welcome back once again to Edge of Reality TV. And our great guests tonight are Danny and Lauren Perez, the Radikals. Welcome back.
Welcome back,
Hello.
Lauren and Danny. Do we see him?
Hello.
There. No.
Yep, we're here.
Oh, well, there you are. Welcome back. Okay. Danny, I did want to ask you, how's your portable cremation service coming along?
Oh, you saw that today,
goodness.
huh?
I was like, now
I
I
saw
get it.
that, yeah.
Yeah, the car. Oh boy. Yeah,
But
that was interesting.
what's that?
That was interesting today.
Oh, to let people know what we're talking about, your kind of unusual mode of transportation. How did
Yeah.
that all start? That's kind of interesting.
Well, we have two hearses that we have in our
Two
fleet.
versions?
Two hearses.
Oh, hearses. Okay.
Two hearses. Yeah. Basically, it started out when I was a child. I grew up with my grandparents. That's where I lived, and on the weekends, my grandfather and we would go out driving around. We're talking the late 1970s, and we'd go to flea markets, yard sales, things like that. That's just what we did. And whenever we drive around, every once in a while, we'd come across a hearse, and he'd say, "Hey, it's going to be a good day." And I thought that was a little strange. I'm like 6 years old at the time. And one day I just finally asked him, I was like, "Pepe, why is it going to be a good day? Isn't it bad? A hearse is death." And he's like, "No, any day that you see a hearse, it's a good day because you're not on the back of it." So being 6 years old, I'm thinking, well, if that's the case, then if I own a hearse, then every day is a good day. So I would say between 10 and 12 years ago, there was a funeral home in the area that was going out of business, and they put their 1968 Cadillac hearse out for sale. And
Cadillac
I
hearse.
snagged it instantly. And yeah, it turned out it was the hearse they used for my grandfather's funeral services.
What?
It was the exact hearse, the very hearse that they used for my grandfather's funeral.
Oh.
So it was like full circle.
Yeah.
So then we named that one. That was named Dolores. We named that after the first person that the funeral was provided for the very first time in 1968. And then we picked up an 04 black Cadillac hearse. His name is Vincent, after the same thing. First person that was performed, funeral for. And they're a lot of fun.
Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
your regular mode of transportation?
The 04 is that's my daily driver. I mean, I drive this thing everywhere. I go to the landfill with it, which the
What about
first time I went
shopping?
there was, no, I'm
Dead serious.
Okay, good.
The first time I went to the landfill, they were like, they didn't know what to make of it, but I had all the paperwork, to go to the landfill, and they're like, "Listen, we don't take that kind of trash here." I'm just like, "No, it's household. It's household." They checked it, and everything was fine. And now it's the local joke. Every time I go, someone's always taking a picture.
Yeah, actually, on their Facebook page, the Thompson transfer station, is the cover picture is Danny in the hearse.
Unloading trash.
Unloading trash.
Yeah.
So
And
you
the
do
funny
have
thing
another
is,
vehicle that works, right? That you can take around town?
well, Lauren's got her vehicle, but
Yeah.
the hearse is just, it's just, I don't know. Every day's a good day, so I drive it every day.
Well, it
The
does
hearse is
make
more
a
fun.
statement. Was that?
Yeah.
It's a good
Everywhere
conversation
I
starter.
go, something happens somewhere somehow
Mhm.
because of the hearse.
Yep.
I mean, we picked up a grill, a new grill the other day, and it's still
Oh, yeah.
it's still in the hearse. And I went to the post office today to mail some stuff out, and the way it's positioned through the back curtains, it says sear, bake, and roast. It says do it all. And that's all you can see out of the back window of the hearse. And someone was staring in the back window when I came out of the post office today. And she's like, "What is this?" And I said, "Oh, I'm working on a mobile cremation thing." She let out a gag and dispersed immediately.
Whoa. That's kind of neat, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is, yeah.
Yeah, there's
It's
somebody
always
else who drives around with it's a white hearse. Somewhere from Massachusetts. They came to the Parafest in Kittery.
Oh,
But yeah, it's
don't remember.
popular thing to do. But who can, they're not always available, and who can afford them, really?
And you have two of them. You rent them out too, do you?
We've done proms, weddings.
Oh, neat.
We did our own wedding. We wrote on the back window "Till Death Do Us Part" in the back of the hearse. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, it's really unusual.
So you don't rent them out for funerals then?
No.
We could.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for, to rent one for a funeral, but
Ooh. Well, I'd also like to cover some of the investigations you've done, and particularly the Borden house. I know that gets sort of overworked, but it's still a point of interest to me anyway, because the stuff you uncovered with Sam Baltrusis I have not heard of it before, about, the abuse that was suspected that went on there. So, Lauren, I was really fascinated at what happened to you in the basement. Could you describe what was going on with you?
It was very weird. I was sitting next to Danny, kind of like I am right now, and in between us was a Tesla coil, which helps to give energy to the spirits instead of draining our equipment. And one of the patrons actually had my FLIR camera, and she says, "Lauren, there's something going up towards your neck."
But what were we doing at the time?
Oh, we were doing the Estes method.
Right.
So Danny was doing the Estes method. I was filming.
The Estes method is kind of like a deprivation kind of thing where you're blindfolded. I was blindfolded, got noise canceling headphones on, and I'm just listening to a spirit box. So I'm just calling out what I hear, and they're asking questions.
Yeah.
And then, go ahead, Lauren.
Then his voice changed. Danny's voice changed. It was a little higher, and he went, "I'm coming." And I could feel hands or something around my neck.
Really?
I started to shake. I couldn't hold the camera anymore. I couldn't move. And when they finally got me to stand up, they're like, "We need to tap Danny out."
But before that, the person with the FLIR,
Yeah.
what was she saying?
I said it's going up towards my neck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But everybody's like, "We gotta tap Danny out. We gotta get Danny out." And as they were pulling him out, they flipped the lights on, and then Danny takes the blindfold off, and I'm hitting the floor.
Wow.
It was scary.
It was very, very freaky for me because I didn't know what I was
So-
going out into.
Do you think the entity that was attacking you was connected to Danny? Whatever Danny was picking up on?
I believe so, because it was shortly after he said that is when it came over and kind of
Oh, so
attacked
kind of
me.
left Danny and went to you.
It was using Danny, yeah.
Did you have any sensation of like heaviness in your legs while you were standing?
Oh my
What?
goodness, yes. My legs felt like jello. I
Yeah.
couldn't stand up. It was just the most unnatural feeling.
The only time I went there, we went on a tour back in about 2004. And the whole house, the basement was the last place we went to. And the minute I put my foot on the first step, from my hip joints down to my feet, my legs went numb. I could still walk, but I felt really, really weak. And I thought, well, what the heck is this? So I went down to the basement. I walked around the whole time that lasted during that period. And then I went back upstairs. The minute my foot hit the first floor, it disappeared. It was like something didn't want me down there. And that was the only negative reaction I had the whole time I was in the house.
Jeez.
So the fact that it happened to you in the basement, and I was wondering exactly what it was you felt. I didn't feel strangled, but certainly the numbness in my legs.
Yeah, my legs they just kind of gave out from underneath me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really frightening when that happens. You have no control over it. Supposedly, she burnt clothes in the furnace down there. And something with a hatchet, too. I don't know what happened, but something related to the hatchet and the basement. But definitely she burnt her clothes there. It wasn't in the stove.
Mm.
And what did you think about the information that was revealed up in Lizzie's room?
Oh,
That was. I had never thought of that
yeah.
angle before.
No, I don't think anybody really had.
So for me, it was just like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
This could
another
all
new
make sense.
dimension. Yeah.
Yeah, this could all make sense to me now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if she had done it, and Sam was saying she did, and that the maid was complicit, something would have to drive somebody to do that. So eating rotten porridge couldn't certainly be it necessarily, but over
Right.
long-term abuse, people snap. So I
Exactly.
thought, my gosh, that really does fit.
Mhm.
Sounds
It
very
definitely
probable.
does. And we were trying to figure out, okay, well then why the stepmother? And what do you figure out, Lauren?
Uh-oh.
It's that she turned a blind eye. You know, back in that time period, you know, the wives they didn't really go against their husband.
Yep, they both obeyed their husbands, right? And they really didn't have a voice. So I think for a while she
So-
didn't know about what was going on. And then when she found out, she couldn't stop it anyway. It's really a
Right.
sad case. But that's the first
Definitely.
time I had heard that angle to the Lizzie Borden story. So that was a fascinating investigation.
It really
It
was.
was.
If anybody
And of
can,
course,
they should
after
watch.
being attacked in the basement, I said, "When are we coming back?"
I was going to say, if anybody is interested, they have to watch you've got like 6 or 7 clips on your site.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
they're very interesting and well done. And of course, Sam is very good too. And
Yes.
he does bring a lot of that stuff out into the open.
Mhm.
So
That
well
was
done.
actually-
It was very interesting.
That was actually the first time that Sam had ever done the Estes method.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The Estes method.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very effective, especially when he's answering questions that he can't hear the questions.
Yes.
Strange.
That really kind of freaked me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your other investigation, Area 51. So pretty much the weirdest thing that happened to you then was the film, sections of the film disappearing.
Yeah, it was really strange. We got directions from the little alien, which is the restaurant out there in Rachel, to a back gate. So the back gate took about an hour and a half to get to, I believe.
Wow.
And it's one of those places where, you know, like hills have eyes, you know, you can easily disappear without anything. So we got up to the line the imaginary line that you're not allowed to cross. the security guys up on the hill. They call them the camo dudes. And we're just filming everything, and it felt really uneasy, you know? So it's like, all right, time to go, turn around, kick back. And actually, yeah, while we were filming them, we zoom in, and they were filming us. So that's right. That's why we turned around. And then when we came back, right at the edge of the main road, there was these giant, like, utility trucks. They're almost like the power trucks out here, but they had like a radar dish on the top. Once we passed that, all the footage just disappeared, just was corrupt.
You say all the footage, but I mean, you had the road footage. So all the footage
We
while
had
you
the
were
road
at that
footage,
area?
but everything up to the gate was just corrupt. Could not be used. It was strange, but fascinating.
And what about after that? Did it resume?
After that, everything was fine after that. Yeah.
So you
Really,
think
really strange.
Do you think it was the something on the trucks that did it?
Well,
It could have been anything. You know, was it deliberate? I don't know. Maybe they were testing something that just happened to corrupt that video that I was still recording with at the time.
Wow.
I don't know. Unknown.
Ooh.
Because, you know, Area 51 doesn't exist, so I don't know how
It
that
couldn't
happened.
Yeah.
Whoa. How about you, Willie?
The wall decor behind you there. You want to tell us about it?
Oh yeah, just various Ouija boards we've picked up here, there, and everywhere. I do make Ouija boards. This is one of them. I don't really keep the Ouija boards that I make. I don't know why. I just don't. This one here I made.
That's a blood board.
Yeah, I've teamed up with a local casket company out here in Connecticut, and so I take the hearse up there. And did you just hear something? I heard something. Yeah. All right. Whatever.
Welcome to our haunted house.
Yeah, we live out in the middle of nowhere, and I just heard something. But okay. So I've teamed up with a casket company here in Connecticut, and I take the hearse up there a couple times a year. We fill up the back end with the leftover wood that they make caskets out of, and I turn them into Ouija boards. What I do is I bathe them in 3 full moons, and after that's done, I make production and start making all different kinds of Ouija boards, and they're all made with good intentions. And yeah.
So
it's a lot
how
of
is
fun.
it you do that? Do you print something out and then laminate it or something?
There's a couple different ways. That's one way of doing it. This board right up here is what's called a blood board.
It's
That's
beautiful.
because I use a chemical to transfer the print over onto the wood.
Oh.
And I have to sand it with my hands. I can't use sandpaper, otherwise the graphics will come off before it's cured. And so I have to sit there with water in my hands for about 8 hours, and my hands are actually bleeding by the time I'm done with one board, and that's why they're called blood
gosh.
boards.
Wow.
Oh.
So they're unintentionally anointed with human blood.
So do you kind of like sometimes set them up on, say, like something like Photoshop, get a screen going, and then eventually print that out and do that?
Yep.
Okay. It's very clever because they're beautiful.
They are,
you.
yeah. And of course, you sell these at different Paracons and
Yep.
stuff. Do you make custom ordered?
Yep, we do. I do custom orders as well. Couple times a year. I think I only do like 4 to 6 of these kind of boards, but they're shaped as a casket, as a
Okay.
toe pincher. Yeah, I only
So-
make a couple of those. Those always go very
Do you
fast.
have-
No, I
No.
sold them all.
Oh,
So how much time, I would imagine it varies, but how much time do you put in each one?
I would say an average, a regular board, 6 hours. A blood board, 8 to 10. Yeah, each.
Okay, yeah, so you couldn't crank out more than one a week, I wouldn't think, if you both have full-time jobs, right?
Well, it takes time. Yeah.
Okay, so since you have an affinity for Ouija boards, do you use them?
No, I
Personally?
don't even believe that they work. No,
Lauren?
I believe in what's called the idiomotor effect. It's basically your hands move on their own the way that your body breathes on your own without thinking about it. And I mean, the Ouija board it was before the 1970s, it was common. It was something that everyone used. It was a parlor game. In the 1920s, when it was like the most popular time for Ouija boards, it was uncouth for a man and a woman to be in a room together alone unless they were betrothed. And even then, someone should be with them. But if you took this piece of wood and put it on your knees and you went knee to knee, which was very risque back in those days. I mean, that was a good night out. And it was okay. It was considered okay. So, of course, this became a very popular thing. You could be alone with a woman, knee to knee, playing this game. And it wasn't really demonized until the 1970s when The Exorcist came out.
But
Yeah.
do you two use them as a form of divination?
With our team, yes.
I personally
He
don't
doesn't,
because I
no.
don't believe they
okay.
work. But our team does.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
98% of our team, Maskcon Paranormal, is Wiccan. The only
Oh.
two that are not are Danny and I.
Yeah.
But yes, that's one of the tools that they use. They use pendulums. They use I use dowsing rods.
Yeah.
a lot of the times you just use yourself.
I just use myself mostly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as the Ouija boards go, we get a lot of people sometimes that are like, Ouija boards are evil, this, that, and the other thing. You shouldn't use them. If you open up, you communicate with the dead, you're opening up the door, and this can happen and that can happen.
Yeah.
But we try to tell them, no matter what you do, you're opening that door, because if you're using an EVP, that's communication just as well as this is,
Right.
just as well as using the Ouija board. Using dowsing rods, that's communication with the dead. And as far as I'm concerned, if you go in using a Ouija board thinking you're going to get scared, more than likely you are going to get scared.
Mhm.
You're going to get whatever you put into it back.
Lauren, what are your dowsing rods made of? Copper?
Copper.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did you have any other questions? I do have one in particular, but
No, I was just going to say that's the way I've always looked at it too with Ouija boards. It's just the same thing as an EVP or anything else.
Yeah.
So,
Just
it's just,
always
a,
use
just a
respect.
piece of wood.
Yep.
Mhm.
it's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, well, that's
Okay.
my way of looking at it.
Well, getting back to some of your peculiar objects then, how about the crying boy painting that is associated with house fires?
Oh, yes. You want me to grab it for you?
It's neat.
Interesting.
All right. So the Crying Boy is a series
Oh.
of paintings that was made by an artist named Giovanni Bragolin. And go ahead, Lauren.
All the pictures, and any home that had the pictures in them, or the paintings, or even prints.
There was a lot of prints that
A
were
lot
made.
of prints had issues with fires and the house catching fire and burning down. The only thing left are the paintings or the prints.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems to happen a lot over in England. These are really
Yes.
popular.
But Giovanni Bragolin actually painted these street urchins with emphasized eyes, and they're crying.
Truly, yeah.
And he did a lot of crying boy paintings. He only did a few of the crying girl, which is one that we have. And we picked it up from a art dealer in Jersey. She called and said, "Hey, do you know what a crying boy painting is?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." And
She's like, I have an original painting. Could you guys,
take it.
yeah, why don't you want to get rid of it?
Because she had some really nice stuff in her studio, and she didn't want to have a problem. And
Yeah.
then she also had some really good stuff in her storage, and she didn't want to have a problem. So she says, "I'm sorry, but it stinks." And we kind of looked at each other, we're like, "What?"
It stinks?
It smells like smoke because it came from a house, an
yeah.
estate that had burned down.
Yeah.
Smells like smoke bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, do you know Cody Desbians and Satori Hawes? Have you heard of them?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they've got two objects that are associated with fire, and people have said, and it happened to me while they were here, you could smell smoke. And there was no reason for it. So I have heard of that. Very bizarre.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, and if you
Lauren,
look
are
at
you
her-
getting any vibes off of that now in any way?
This is actually one of my favorite pieces in our museum. I mean, if you look at her, you can kind of see her nose looks like it's a little dirty. Like she's got soot.
Yeah, it's adorable.
It doesn't bother me that, I think it's another piece like the grave marker. She just needed a home.
But what happened after we brought it in?
2 days after we brought it home, Danny went to work and I'm in the bedroom trying to sleep, and I heard a little girl say "mama" twice. Now, my kids are all grown, and our grandkids don't stay overnight yet. So,
And we live, like I said before, out in the boonies.
yeah.
There's no sidewalks. There's no street lights.
And it
But
sounded
then
like it was in the house.
Yes, it was in the room that we're in now. So that's where I heard it. So cut out about a week later, and Danny?
Well, I work the graveyard shift. So when I'm at work, Lauren's home. And when I'm home, Lauren's at work. So I'm home from work, get home, relaxing. And I'm going to listen to a podcast, catch up on a couple things. And I'm listening. And all of a sudden I hear some chatter of a little girl. Sounded 4 or 5, somewhere in that time frame, age. And I was like, oh, what was that? So I stopped it. No, I don't hear it. And I'm being analytical. So I'm like, all right, let's play the podcast back because it was probably on the podcast. Rewind it, play it, nothing. Rewind it, play it. I did it like 6 times. Nothing there. And I couldn't explain it. And I was like, whoa, I don't know what that was, but I heard something. It was a female child. I have no idea.
Interesting.
And you notice
It really was.
he doesn't say I work overnights. He says I work the graveyard shift.
Oh, no, I didn't catch that. Just he was home working? All right, he was home or he's at work. Graveyard shift. So both of you, can you put your heads together and think of anything else that you'd like to mention? I would be interested in hearing something that that kind of gives you the creeps as far as the haunted
Oh, boy.
objects.
I mean,
What was the scariest thing that happened to either of you?
Either way.
oh,
Yeah, either way.
Go ahead, Lauren. What was the scariest thing that ever happened to you?
oh my goodness. I don't know if it was really scary. It was more, well, yeah, it was kind of scary. I had a heart attack back when I was 34, and they did lose me on the table. And this woman came to me and said to me, "Sweet pea, it's not your time to go yet. You need to go back." And I said, okay. So I came back. Fast forward a few years. Now I'm 41 years old, and my birth family found me. We all got together, and I saw a picture of my birth mom, and that was the woman who told me to go back.
Really?
Well, I just found out we only have 2 minutes left
Nope.
for the show. So, anything you want to plug? What do you got coming up?
Ooh.
What do we got,
So we've got May 14th. We will be May 14th or 13th. I think it's the 13th. We'll be at the Paracon in Ansonia,
Oh yeah.
Connecticut.
Yep.
And then we'll be with you on the
May
20th.
20th.
Okay.
Mhm. And then it fast forwards to September, where we have Ocean State Paracon, we have Sleepy Hollow Paracon,
Warren's Paracon.
Paracon.
All this can be found on our website,
Yes.
www.theradikals.org, and it's radicals with a K, Radikals.
What do you have? 4
Got it.
sites? You have 4 websites?
We
There's
have
a few.
there's a few different, but if you go to theradikals.org, it acts as a hub and it'll take you to all the little side things that we do.
Okay. I'll tell you, I think they're all beautifully done. Who designs them?
Oh, that would be me.
Well done, Danny. Where do you get all the graphics?
Some of the stuff that I get is from old horror movie posters.
Oh,
Some of it is
Yeah,
just stuff
Nosferatu,
that
I saw that. But I mean,
Yeah,
like the cartoon type graphics, where do you get those?
Sometimes I make them, sometimes I find them, sometimes I pay to license them. It all
Oh,
depends.
okay.
We like that old classic style look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
little classic horror show type thing. And
Yeah,
the,
exactly.
the music selections that you have, they're so appropriate for the context of the videos that you put them in. Beautiful
Oh,
selection of
thanks.
music, really creepy.
Thank you.
They're well done.
Okay, so,
And, their book.
yep, and of course you just recently had a book come out,
Yes, we do.
And-
Paranormal Investigation, A Beginner's Guide to the Supernatural.
And where can they find out about that? Like, which site do they go to? find-
You can find it on Amazon, or you can find it on theradikals.org as well.
Okay.
There's a link to Amazon from there,
nice.
as well as you can order it right from our site, and it'll come to you autographed if you order it from our website.
When was it released?
Last month.
Yeah, last month.
Last month.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's cool.
Thanks.
And you both
Yeah.
worked on it?
Yes,
Yes, we
we did.
did.
And now we're working on the second book, which is going to entail all our little adventures going to pick these items up.
All right, well,
Okay, very cool.
we're out of time.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
and,
you.
I will see you in Connecticut, and then again up in Hampton.
Sounds good.
We can't wait.
And I'll probably be tagging along too.
Oh,
Nice.
good.
Thank you
Okay.
so much, both of you. Very interesting.
Okay, that's the end of Edge of Reality TV,
Yes.
and
Another interesting show.
yeah, very interesting. And so, thanks everybody for watching,
And
And
we'll
listening.
see you next time.
yeah, well, that's what we'll do. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Okay.